Hi, this is Russell Whitney with Expert Insider. I'm sitting here with Jeffrey Magee, who is a leadership coach and trainer mentor. He works with C-suite generals of the military, also is working with business owners, entrepreneurs on how to be great leaders for their business, correct?
That's it.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank
Glad
you very
to
much.
have you here on the
Thank
show.
you.
So it's exciting to have a leadership trainer like yourself. I mean, I don't think I've met anybody that's ever worked with a general before in the military, so we need to talk a little bit about that here. But before we get into that, is how did you get and come into business?
I think almost everyone you talk to, no matter what their age, whether they're the entrepreneurial teenager doing something unique as you had on your shows, or they are the retired executive, I think a lot of people start out in life and they think they have a pathway, a trajectory where they want to go. The reality to every successful person you've ever met, that I've ever met, is their success, if you look in reverse, is not even close to where they thought they were going to be in life. So
very true.
Same thing here. I went to college to be a journalist. That was my passion.
Okay.
Before I ever graduated from college, I already had thousands of articles published in major newspapers. I'd had a chance to go on Air Force One and interview President Reagan back in the day. So phenomenal early experiences.
So you got to interview Reagan. How was that?
It was. I mean, it was a phenomenal experience. Dr. Seuss, before he passed away, I did a last interview with him.
Okay.
But, these phenomenal personalities such as those, my whole orientation from early in life was solutions, positive, optimism, success.
Right.
Which is interesting because you're successful entrepreneurs, that's part of their DNA, but it's not society's DNA. I mean, we live in a world today, unfortunately, where what we celebrate is negativity. It's like whenever anyone is successful.
I mean, look at the news,
absolutely.
Right? Everything's negative. That's why I say people with the news, it's negative education with society. That's what the news stands for.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's a great way of saying it.
Yeah, 100%. So go back to what you were saying.
So in journalism, my goal was to be a writer. And when I was in college, one of the best things that happened, in retrospect, but not at the time, was one of the newspapers I had a great offer to go write for was bought by the competition, merged, closed, and completely changed my world. So I ended up writing in Kansas City for a newspaper for a period of time, doing broadcast news as well.
Okay.
And one day I just recognized what you just said. Journalism is by nature very negative.
Right.
And there's exceptions to every statement. But most journalists, sadly to say, are people that if you gave them a Post-it note, they couldn't even write their life resume on it. They have little credentials. They're very bitter people.
Right.
And it's always about trying to tear someone down. I said, that's not my DNA. So I left it cold.
Okay.
And if you're ever unemployed,
but
there's
you
always one
recognize
job.
that.
That's exactly it.
That's the biggest key. Is a lot of people don't recognize, and they'll stay in that misery of something they don't like to do just to get a paycheck.
Absolutely.
So recognition of what you didn't like to do, boom, made a switch.
And that's it. And if you're ever unemployed in America, there's always one job, and that's a sales job. Now, if you're not good at it, you won't keep it, but there's always a sales job. But that was the major trajectory change in my life because I went into sales, and through sales, I recognized if you believe in what you want to promote, you have a service, a tangible and tangible product. If you believe in it and you're excited about it, then sharing that story with someone is basically another way of saying sales, and you can be very successful. Okay. That led me into a whole different pathway of selling. That led me into working for a Fortune 500 company, which led me into being downsized. And again, some of your viewers may not realize, but again, in the 80s and 90s, one of the ways that major corporations always made their books look good at the end of the year was, downsize 2,000 employees.
Got to cut the bottom 10%.
So, they went into just firing tons of people. But that, again, at the time, you never see it as a positive, but that turned out to be a positive as well. I wrote a book about basically having a job, no job, re-employed in less than 48 hours. The book became a bestseller. People bought the book, and they started contacting the publisher to get a hold of me to have me come in and speak. The book was called Bounce Back Self-Marketing. Bounce Back Self-Marketing. Okay. Great title. No longer in print. You can still probably find a rogue copy out there.
Okay.
But the beauty of that's what led me to why we're sitting here, and that is, again, if you listen to the marketplace, it will always tell you where the next product is.
Okay.
And that's really a lot about what entrepreneurialism is looking at the market and seeing how do you stay one step, if not more, ahead of it.
Following the trend of the market and where it's going right now, right?
That is one way to be successful in entrepreneurship.
One way, follow trend.
But better yet is create the trend.
Create the trend.
Real successful entrepreneurs, they are not following. They're creating it. They see where the future is going to be, and they're there when it arrives. Now, there could be lots of obstacles en route to that, and there could be sometimes a lot of gatekeepers trying to hold you back because it's going to mess up their game. A lot of people are very complacent.
Right.
You know, Gallup did a survey recently where they found 56% of American businesses and people are disengaged in the workplace. 56% are disengaged.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Complacent.
I agree.
15% are actively disengaged. That means 15% of people around you bitch for a living, which means only 29% of the people
Those
working.
are the ones I fire.
Bingo. So you figure out that success, and so
and try to get rid of the 56%,
or motivate them.
Or motivate them.
Exactly.
That's the other way to go, right?
Get them engaged and get them out the door.
Gotcha. So create a trend or create the trend. However, would you say being an entrepreneur is finding a challenge, a problem, creating a solution?
Absolutely.
Too, right?
So whether you want to stay in a space or you want to create a space, you just touched on something huge. There's basically 4 ways you take a product to market.
Stay or create.
So if you want to stay in it and be successful, or you want to create, there's only 4 ways you are successful in business.
Okay.
You either have to take to market something that's better. If I can show you a better way of doing something, or my product's better than what you have now, you're going to consider coming to me. Different. If I can show you have something that's different that'll help you to be more successful, or different than what you have now, you'll consider me. Faster. If I can show you a way to be more efficient, faster, you'll consider me. Or more cost effective. Now, more cost effective does not mean a lower price point or cheaper. You can be a lot more expensive, but in the bigger picture, if you are cost effective, there's value proposition attached, people will come to you.
Awesome.
So better, faster, different, cost effective.
Better, faster, quicker, cost effective.
You look at any business that's out there, the way they innovate and stay, Starbucks, the way they keep staying successful is they're always looking for ways to be better and different and more cost effective.
Awesome.
But cost effective. They're making a 20-cent cup of coffee that you're willing to pay $1 to $5 for.
Right.
So you're willing to pay for it because something about that coffee is different enough in convenience and et cetera. Exactly.
Right, exactly.
You know, the K-Cup, the Keurig, that's made by Green Mountain Coffee out of Vermont.
Yep.
But if you get a K-Cup that says Dunkin' Donuts on it or Starbucks, it's still made by Green Mountain out of Vermont. They just repackage it, put a name on it.
We put a different label on it.
They know how to do it. Exactly.
Right, that's smart, that's intelligent.
So those are your 4 ways. So when you look at coaching, and every one of these successful people, you just said something very important, Russell. When I look at these successful people out there, whether they're military generals, whether they're the people that have written for my magazine, you know, Richard Branson, Michelle Obama, you know, Coach Bob Knight, and on and on and on, every one of them have mentors around them to help them to be successful.
I love that.
Mentor's the word. Now, in the last decade, a new word's popped into our lexicon, and we call it a coach. Coaching and mentoring have a lot of similarities, change the label, same objective, and that is, however great you are, to get to that next level, you have to have someone that can push you and hold you accountable and give you clues.
So you think mentor was first before coach?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
See, for me, I always remember coach first before mentor. But maybe in business world it's different, and here's why I associate it. Because I always think of coach as, when I was a kid, my basketball coach, my
that was the first thing you were introduced to as
that
an
was the first coach.
Exactly.
And then I learned about mentor, though, from business people, from business men that were very successful, and the power of having them. I want to talk about that here in the next segment. Is coach and mentoring perfect? This is Russell Whitney. You're watching Expert Insider. In a minute, we'll be back with Jeff.